Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's reshaping how enterprises operate, particularly in Den Haag. We're talking about multi-agent AI systems and agentic workflows, and honestly, the implications are huge. Sam, you've been following the enterprise AI space closely. Why should our listeners care about multi-agent systems right now?
Great question. Look, most enterprises are still stuck with monolithic chatbots and siloed data systems. But in Den Haag, which is basically becoming the AI hub of the Netherlands, we're seeing a fundamental shift. Organizations are deploying multi-agent systems that actually communicate with each other, make decisions in real time, and automate complex workflows. The kicker? They're doing it while staying compliant with the EU AI Act, which is non-trivial.
The EU AI Act compliance piece is really interesting because Den Haag isn't just any city, it's the seat of Dutch government. That regulatory pressure is intense, right?
Exactly. Den Hogg hosts the Dutch Data Protection Authority and over 500 tech companies, so compliance isn't optional, it's existential. And here's what's wild. Enterprises deploying multi-agent systems today get a 6 to 12-month competitive advantage over slower adopters because the January 2026 enforcement deadline for high-risk systems is coming fast. The ones building compliant infrastructure now will dominate the market.
Before we go deeper, let me ask, what's the actual business problem these multi-agent systems are solving? Is this just efficiency theater, or are there real pain points?
Oh, very real pain points. Forster data from 2025 shows 73% of Dutch enterprises are struggling with knowledge fragmentation across departments. Employees lose 4.2 hours per week just retrieving data and coordinating processes. For government agencies and healthcare providers, that translates directly to slower citizen services and patient outcomes. Multi-agent systems solve this by creating specialized autonomous agents that collaborate across silos without waiting for human handoffs.
So it's not just about speed, it's about reducing bottlenecks in mission-critical services. Sam, can you break down how this actually works technically? What's different about a multi-agent system versus, say, a really good chatbot?
Good distinction. A traditional chatbot is essentially a single black box that processes your query. A multi-agent system is more like a team. You have specialized agents. Maybe a financial agent, a compliance agent, a customer service agent, that route tasks dynamically based on expertise and capacity. They communicate using standardized protocols, they make decisions in real time, and they can even negotiate with each other about task allocation.
That sounds like it could get chaotic. How do you actually govern that? How does the EU AI Act fit in?
That's where it gets really sophisticated. Den Haag enterprises are using 3 core patterns. First, hierarchical orchestration. Executive agents delegate to specialists and synthesize responses. Second, peer-to-peer negotiation for dynamic demand, like emergency healthcare response. And third, hybrid human-agent loops where critical decisions route back to humans, which is literally required by the EU AI Act for high-risk operations. The system maintains complete audit trails, which satisfies Article 6 compliance.
Speaking of audit trails and compliance, retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, seems to be a key enabler here. What's the connection?
RAG is basically the antidote to AI hallucinations. Instead of having the agent just generate answers from training data, RAG pulls in real-time information from vetted sources, documents, databases, whatever, and cites them. Stanford's 2024 AI Index shows RAG reduces hallucinations by 84% compared to vanilla language models. For Den Haag's public sector and healthcare, where you need explainability and transparency, that's game-changing. The EU AI Act explicitly demands this traceability in Articles 13 to 15.
So RAG gives you both accuracy and compliance. But handling sensitive data, municipal records, patient files, that's another layer of complexity, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is where the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, comes in. AetherDEV has built MCP-compliant RAG pipelines that standardize how agents communicate with data sources. Think of it as a secure handshake protocol. It ensures that when an agent needs to retrieve sensitive information, it's done securely and auditably. For Den Hogg enterprises managing healthcare records or financial transactions, that's essential infrastructure.
Let's ground this in a real example. You mentioned Den Hogg's municipal government is piloting something. What are they actually doing?
Germain to Den Hogg is running a peer-to-peer agent network for permit processing. Instead of applications sitting in a queue waiting for a human reviewer, multiple agents assess applications based on different criteria simultaneously: zoning compliance, financial review, environmental impact. They negotiate task allocation dynamically. The result? They've cut average permit review time significantly, and every step is logged and auditable because the EU AI Act requires it.
That's a concrete win. But I imagine there are organizations in Den Hogg that haven't started this journey yet. What's the barrier to entry? Is this only for tech-forward companies?
It's not just for tech companies, but it does require rethinking your architecture. The barrier isn't technical anymore. Frameworks exist. It's organizational and cultural. You need to map out your workflows, identify where knowledge fragmentation is costing you, and then decide, do we build this in-house or do we partner with a vendor? Companies like Acropolium and AI Lab 1 in Den Haag have built compliance-first frameworks that smaller enterprises can adopt. It's about starting now, not waiting.
Because of that January 2026 deadline you mentioned earlier?
Precisely. If you're deploying high-risk AI systems, you need compliance built in from day one. Retrofitting compliance later is exponentially more expensive. The enterprises moving now have 6 to 12 months to learn, iterate, and scale. By 2026, they'll have marketable IP and competitive advantage across the EU. Those waiting? They'll be scrambling.
Last question. What should an enterprise leader in Den Hogg prioritize if they're thinking about this? What's the first move?
Start with a knowledge audit. Map where your teams lose time coordinating across silos. Understand your regulatory requirements, GDPR, AI Act, sector-specific rules. Then, pilot a small multi-agent workflow for that bottleneck. Don't boil the ocean. Start with hierarchical orchestration. It's the easiest to implement and govern. Once you've got that working and compliant, you can scale and explore peer-to-peer patterns and hire or partner for RAG and MCP expertise from day one.
That's practical advice. Sam, thanks for walking us through this. For our listeners who want the full technical breakdown, the complete blog post, including implementation patterns, compliance checklists, and case studies from Den Hogg enterprises, is available on etherlink.ai. We'll drop the link in the show notes. Thanks for joining us on EtherLink AI Insights.
Thanks, Alex. And to our listeners, if you're in Den Hogg or running enterprises facing similar regulatory and efficiency challenges, this isn't future stuff. It's happening now. Don't get left behind. Left.